Now, I'm not against people that is obese, because I know that obesity, a lot of people are struggling to keep their weights down. But I want to just look at it this morning from the standpoint that there are many individuals who do not recognize, though, the effects that they can have on their children, and even in pregnancy, when the mothers are pregnant with their children, they don't even recognize that what they eat can also affect their children also. In fact, the research that I was doing this week showed that shows that every shows that that obesity can really have a very important plays a very important role in the lives of one's children. Now, every mother wants to have the healthiest child she can. And new research shows that nutritional status of the mother during pregnancy can affect outcomes of the baby. And that's also with male and also with female offsprings. Dr. Emily Combe shows that achieving and maintaining optimal nutritional fitness and weight before and during pregnancy has immediate and long-term benefits for the health of both the mother and her child. So we know that when women are pregnant, they tend to eat a lot. But at times also, if they go overboard with it, they can also, the children also, it can also affect the children also. Because sometimes you find that their babies are born, and some of these babies are obese before they even come out of their mother's womb. So it is really a fact that, what one do, it can affect their offsprings. We're told how this cafeteria-style diet affects pregnancy. And the tendency is that when someone is pregnant, that they tend to eat, and sometimes they tend to eat the wrong foods at the wrong places. So the research says it is not always possible for women to control their body weight, but they do have control over what and how they eat. So this study aimed to show our Western cafeteria style diet can impact the eventual health of the child. Dr. Combe said our study focused not only on pregnancy, but the preconception period as the sensitive period of development, and can also have a significant impact on offspring health. And then she says, after girls and boys affected differently by their material diet. She says after weaning, there were difference in the growth rate and total body fat contents of male, but not female offsprings who were exposed to altering maternal diet. So one's diet can in fact affect their children, their children's diet, and will affect them most likely for life, because there's many individuals that are struggling to get their diets under control. Even as adults, even as children, it's a continual battle. But sad to say, what most people do not recognize is that effect might have started from pregnancy and has affected the child up to the point in which we live in. So it is very important. Even your mood swings when a woman is pregnant, that could also affect the children also. If you're a person that is happy, well, you might have a child that is happy. But if you're sad and you go off into these different mood swings also, at times also, it can affect the children also. And so when the child is born, the child have more struggles to deal with, because they have to combat that which they inherited from their parents, and they have to try to overcome these deficiencies in their character. But I want to read something from the Spirit of Prophet. She said, the period in which the infant receives its nourishment from the mother is critical. Many mothers, while nursing their infants, have been permitted to overlabor and eat their blood in cooking, and the nursing has been seriously affected. Not only with feverish nourishment from the mother breast, but its blood has been poisoned by the unhealthy diet of the mother. which has furthered her whole system, thereby affecting the food of the infant. The infant will also be affected by the condition of the mother's mind. If she's unhappy, easily agitated, irritable, giving vent to outbursts of passion, the nourishment the infant received from its mother will be flame, often producing of passion. The nourishment the infant received from its mother will be flame, often producing colic, spasm, and some instances causing convulsions and fits. The character also of the child is more or less affected by the nature of the nourishment received from the mother. How important then that the mother, while nursing her infant, should preserve a happy state of mind, having the perfect control of her own spirit. By thus doing, the food of the child is not injured, and the calm, self-possessed course the mother pursues in the treatment of her child has very much to do in molding the mind of the infant. She says, if it is nervous and easily agitated, the mother, careful, unhurried manner will have a soothing and correcting influence, and the health of the infant can be very much improved. Infants have been greatly abused by improper treatment, inspiration says. If it were fretful, it has generally been fed to keep it quiet. Sometimes the child becomes agitated, and what does the parents do? They just give the child food to keep them quiet. But inspiration says that this also has affected the child also, because the child learned to what? To just eat, and when it's unhappy, yes. And so that also is passed along in their different phases of their life. She says, the first education that children should receive from the mother in infancy should be in regard to their physical health. They should be allowed only plain food of that quality that would preserve to them the best condition of health. And that should be partaken of only at regular periods, not often than 3 times a day, and 2 meals would be better than 3. So she's not saying that they have to eat 2 meals a day, but she says 3 meals a day, but 2 meals would be better. If children are disciplined aright, they will soon learn that they can receive nothing but crying and fretting. A judicious mother will act in training her children not merely in regard to her own present comfort, but for the future good. So a judicious mother, a careful mother, when she's training her child or feeding her child or taking care of her child, she will try to train her children not in regard to her own present comfort, but for the future. She will look and she'll think about, well, how will my behavior affect my child in the future? But how many mothers really stop and really think about that? Very few. And so they inherit the problems that they actually, in most times, that they brought upon their own children. Let me just wrap this up. I know we're pressed for time. She says, a judicious mother will act in training her child not merely in regard to her own present comfort, but for the future good. And to this end, she will teach her children the important lesson of controlling the appetite and of self-denial. And they should eat, drink, and dress in reference to health. How many of us, if you have children, remember to teach your children, to tell your children that they should eat, drink, and dress in reference to health? You just put something on them because it looks nice, or you give them food because it tastes good. But what we're trying to do actually is we're trying to preserve health, and we're trying to look to the future, so that some of the problems that parents have in the future who did not give their children a good foundation in health, that we will not have those problems later on in life. She says the importance of training children to right dietetic habits can hardly be overestimated. The little ones need to learn that they eat to live and not live to eat. But we know in many homes, what you do, you live to what? To eat, right? But the inspiration says that we need to teach them that they don't eat to live, but not, she said the little ones need to learn that they eat to live rather, not live to eat. And most children, they just live to eat. The training should begin with the infant in its mother's heart. The child should be given food only at regular intervals and less frequently as it grows older. It should not be given sweets or the food of older persons, which it is unable to digest. Care and regularity in the feeding of infants will not only promote health and thus tend to make them quiet and sweet-tempered, but will lay the foundation of habits that will be a blessing to them in after years. So if we train our children right in the way they eat, if we make sure they eat at the proper times, if we give them plain foods, and if we give them foods that will nourish their bodies, it will certainly help in the future. Remember, brothers and sisters, that when we eat for what? For strength and not for drunkenness. And if we're feeding our children, giving them food just for them to keep quiet, we're doing harm to them. So I pray this morning that we will take these counsels given to us from inspiration as very, very important.
Reference, is it subsidized food that is
this is taken from TDSDF. I'll tell you what it is. Page 52 through 53.
TDF?
Yeah, I'll give it to you. TSDF. I'll give it to you afterward. Yeah. But let us strive by God's grace to follow God's health principles. And if we seek to do the things that God wants us to do, He will certainly bless us. And He will bless our families also. We'll have children that are calm, not children that are easily irritated. And we'll have children that learn from a young age that their health is important and that they need to take care of their health. And these are things we need to be teaching them now. We don't wait till 10 years or 20 years from now when they start to have different health issues. So may God help us to follow His health laws